So let's do some mailbag. Remember, these are questions you leave on my channel and I'm trying to answer for you. First one comes from Michael Blue Erdemar, and it says the Jupiter X and the XM each have Aftertouch. The 37 key bed on the XM are slim keys and the 61 on the X are full size keys. Both are semi-weighted. They also have full ZENcore engine with access to waves from the Fantom. The more I hear on these, the more I'm interested. I'm a JPX. I'm into the JPX, but Roland has done a terrible job in rolling these out and providing info and demos so far. I've seen a number of events Roland have tried to do with rolling these out, but I haven't seen too much. I think there was an event I referenced was a bunch of YouTubers, and I think the whole idea of that event was to sort of get the devices out to these various individuals and get them posting videos and sort of making it go viral from a YouTube community. I'm not sure that's actually kind of worked at the moment. I don't think there's enough units in the market space to actually push it out to these so-called influencers. But I'm actually going to answer this question along with another question. So the other question comes from Peter Kubina, and I probably got your name wrong, and I do apologise for that. And he says it looks like the XM also has Aftertouch as per the Sonic State video. So yes, there is a Sonic State video. So both of these were in response to my Not Quite 909 day I did a couple of weeks ago. And I have to be honest and say, what's really interesting is that Roland have omitted the Aftertouch specification from their website. And when these things were launched, I actually took that, I went through the website and I looked at what was actually being said on the website. So that's the reason why I sort of kind of said, well, I can't see Aftertouch on this like the System 8, because it wasn't specified on their website. So I do apologise, I have got that wrong, because the Sonic State video, definitely the Roland product specialist and the Sonic State video made the statement that these keyboards do have Aftertouch. So I apologise for that, but that video wasn't available when I recorded the original 909, Not Quite 909 day video. So I think with these instruments, things are carrying on to emerge. I have to be honest and say that I haven't seen anything yet said about the ZENcore engine and the fact that you can interchange the waves between the Fantom and the ZENcore. And other units used in the ZENcore. That I've not seen stated anywhere. It doesn't mean it hasn't been stated, it just means I haven't seen it. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a way of doing that, because at the end of the day the ZENcore technology is a computer technology. It's been used by both synthesizers, the Fantom and the Jupiter X. So why wouldn't you be able to transfer waves from one to the other? Would you want to do that? I'm not sure, but you know, you can effectively transfer stuff from one to the other, as long as you have the ZENcore engine installed on both machines to actually run the wave you're transferring, if that makes sense. Because the ZENcore engine is effectively wave modelling based on another synthesizer, whether that be a JPX, a Juno, a Jupiter 8, whatever it happens to be. It's modelling based on that, so you would need to have those engines loaded on both sides to be able to move the waves between the two. That's my take on it. And then I'm going to do an answer to an answer, because obviously I answered this a couple of days ago and Michael responded. I've asked Roland buying support if the XM has Aftertouch. They will come back to me. If they come back to me, I'll let you know. Great. So he's going to post that to the channel, so keep your eye on that particular video for comments. I guess sound-wise, the Fantom XM is sharing the ZENcore engine in a video from Synthfest UK. Roland especially said that the X and X owners will have access to the files of the Fantom. They will sound alike. Okay, so there you go. There's half the answer back. Okay, next one for this section comes from VW591. And he says, these KORGs are a nightmare to repair, to get into, still trying to figure out how to get to the sticky switches. I think the problem is with all synthesizers of a certain age, the way they put the synthesizers together was effectively they put the the face down, and then they started bolting into the face. So effectively you get the control surfaces as the first circuit board that goes on, and then over the top of the control surfaces another circuit board goes on, and then possibly a third circuit board goes on. So you end up with 3 layers of circuit boards with ribbon connectors between the 2, or 3 or 4, or however many they are, and typically you have circuit boards on this side and circuit boards on that side of the display. So it's not the easiest thing in the world to get into, but perseverance is good, and they do come to par. But it's not a 5-minute job. It is a job where you have to put the synthesizer on its face down, and then you take the back of the synthesizer off and disconnect it all, and then you might have to disconnect the key bed to bring the key bed out, and then you might have to disconnect the top level of circuit boards and then disconnect all those, and then you have to. And my advice is, whenever you're doing this sort of stuff, you've got a mobile phone or a digital camera, take pictures every single stage, because when you're putting this thing back together, believe me, having pictures is very, very useful. The other thing is to make sure you have a big work area so that you can actually group the screws according to how you've taken them out of the unit, because typically, and I say typically, not all the same size screws have been used in different areas depending on, you know, how deep the stalk that it screws into is and how it's positioned. Some of them will be metal screws, some of them will be galvanized screws. You know, so be careful about all that sort of stuff. So take pictures, group the screws together and leave them on an area that's not going to be disturbed, so that when you come to put it back, you know how the screw architecture works as well. That's just my advice on that one. Once you get to the front switch, then you pull the front switch off, and then you will have to desolder all the switches. Don't mess around trying to repair them. It's just not worth the aggro. Desolder the lot, take them off the board, and you can buy on eBay for about $20 the complete tack switches for most keyboards. So that's one thing that does seem to be in fairly good supply still, is the tack switches. And you can buy them for about $20. They will sell you all the switches you need to replace all the tack switches for that particular keyboard. Desolder them, put new ones in. You won't have to worry about them for a few years, a good few years. And the last one for this area, from my friend Bruce. So he writes, great video. SCSI connections is why I avoided the Korg Trinity. And this was in response to the sort of 7x7 mail upgrade mailbag I did earlier this month, actually, only last week. And I would have to say, oh God, yes, SCSI was a nightmare. Once you got it working, it was fantastic. It was a very, very capable way of transferring data from your device to a storage medium and back from a storage medium to the device or to something else. But trying to make sure that you've got all the channels and the terminations set up right, that could be a task in itself, especially if you had certain devices. I can remember having a CD-ROM, and the CD-ROM wanted to work on 3 or 5, and I had another device that would only work on 3 and another device that would only work on 5, because they'd been high coded into the SCSI matrix of that particular device. So I spent ages trying to get this CD-ROM to work, and it wasn't working, or something else wasn't working, and in the end I had to sell the CD-ROM off and buy another CD-ROM that would work on a different SCSI channel. So basically, the more expensive the SCSI device, you had the ability to change the channel it was working on. If I remember correctly, it was something like 1 through 7. And you had to make sure that some SCSI devices had auto terminate on them, so if you had nothing plugged into the other side of the SCSI jack, it just assumed it was last in the line and did the auto termination. And other SCSI devices expected something else to be there, so you actually had to put a termination jack on there, which was a little block, which I may have flashed up on screen. And that was told the SCSI chain that was the end of the chain of devices. But God, yes, SCSI was a pain in the bum, and long live USB from that perspective.
Remember, hit that like button if you like what you saw. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified about more rants, more mailbag, more questions and answers, and more videos about this sort of stuff when it's loaded to the channel. Until next time, bye bye.